Hi guys, it's my new Walstad method tank I've set up about a week ago. Been doing a few water changes on it, getting it going, and it seems to be doing alright. There seems to be little bits of growth going on and stuff, and crypts are melting, but that's to be expected with crypts, isn't it, in a new tank. So what I wanted to touch on today's video was a couple of people have asked me about plants and plants I recommend and plants I recommend for a Walstad method tank. So now I want to add like a little caveat or whatever into this video, because what is a Walstad method tank? Obviously I discussed in my last video that it's kind of a misnomer, but if we are doing what is referred to by the hobby as a Walstad method tank, it could be different sizes and stuff like that. So a small tank could be different to a big tank, because some plants grow so fast that you won't be able to keep them in a small tank. So depends on the size of the tank and what you're trying to achieve. It would change my opinion, but I'll give you some general ones. So in front of you now we've got a few different Apongigetans. Now if you've got a big tank, I recommend these because they put out big root structures and they get down into the soil and help keep the soil going. I've talked in the past how, like, if there's no roots in the soil, then there's no point having the soil there. So I always try and say, you know, this is a low-tech, in my opinion, this is kind of like the best way of doing a low-tech tank, is dirting it and getting some soil in there and capping it and getting big rosettes and bulb plants in there, because they're the ones that are going to benefit from being in the soil. So obviously I'm saying, like, the Apongigetans are great for that, and then in front of that you've got Amazon swords. There's another plant I recommend in a larger tank, and even in a smaller tank I've seen some people plant the Amazon swords and let the leaves grow out the surface, which I think looks amazing. Crypts are another one. Crypts are another one I recommend for a Walstad method tank, especially a smaller one. Then over this side, obviously we've got Phallosneria and Elodea densa, or what people call Anacaris, at the back. And these are my two favourite plants for a Walstad method tank, because they do everything. They oxygenate the water, they get down into the soil, they grow quick, they can use the carbon and KH when CO2 levels are low in the aquarium. So they're just all round good plants to have in a Walstad method tank. And then you've got the dwarf lily bulbs. I absolutely love dwarf lilies because they do everything that you want from a Walstad method type plant. They grow big, fast, they get big root structures into the soil, they absorb loads of nutrients out the soil, they get the lily pads on the top, so they're accessing CO2 from the surface. So I've ripped this tank out today. This is my 5-footer. I'm dying to do something with this. I'm starting to get a little bit bored of just having tanks set up for the sake of having tanks set up. I want to start achieving something with my tanks. There's a couple of berry female shrimp. With this tank, the plants, obviously I've got Elodea densa or Anacaris. I've got onion plants. I thought that I ordered a Crinum natans, and that's what arrived. Definitely not Crinum natans, and I'm quite gutted by that, to be honest. But the likes of your Boos, your Anubias, your Java ferns, while these are good in the long term for your Walstad, I wouldn't put them in a new one while all the organics are flying. But the likes of your Ludwigia repens there and your Rotala rotundifolia, these will do well at the beginning, might struggle later on once the nutrients start tapering off and the tank matures. This is an Limnophilia sessifolia. This one, I struggled to get it going, and now it's absolutely flying. So I don't understand what kicked it off, but it kicked off. Maybe it's because there's, you know, nutrients building up in the substrate, so they've got something to get into now. Maybe, I don't know. As your tank matures, you find some plants do better than others, but some people recommend Limnophilia sessifolia for a Walstad. I'm not sure whether I'm convinced yet, but I'll say this is the first time I've kept it. On this tank, as you can see, I've ripped it all out. Out of this tank and the 5-footer today, I've ripped the whole carrier bag of basically LOD denser out of it, with a little bit of duckweed and stuff. And as for floating plants, obviously we've got to have floating plants in our Walstad method aquarium, haven't we? Diana Walstad talks about the aerial advantage and the benefits of it, and I use duckweed. Now, no one seems to love duckweed, but it's cracking if you've got nutrients in your water and you need to pull them out. Duckweed does it better than it just grows so fast. It pulls all sorts out of the water so fast. And then this one, red roof floater, I've had this in my high-tech tank for months, and it's been green. And I put it in here, it's starting to colour up. I've noticed in both my Walstad method tanks, as soon as I put them in, they start going red, which I don't know what causes it to go red, but they're called red roof floaters and they're going red, so that to me can only be a good thing. Salvinia, that's an absolute cracking, such a reliable floating plant. I've kept it for years and I love it. And then in the corner here we've got Amazon frogbit. I'm trying to look for a bit more. There's usually loads of it dotted around the tank, but now I need it, I can't find it. But that's another floating plant that I recommend. So they're all my plants I recommend for the Walstad method. There's a few others, but they're my mainstays. They're what I recommend. Now, if you're wanting a smaller tank, I'd recommend some different plants. Obviously, we can't keep LOD denser in like a 25-litre tank. It'll consume it in no time. Or Vallisneria, Vallisneria wants to grow to like 3-4 foot, so we're not keeping that long in a 25-litre tank. So with the likes of that, as you've seen in my 25-litre Walstad tank, I keep these two here. There's a cool shrimp just living its life. These two here, I recommend them for a smaller Walstad method tank. There's an absolute unit of Ludwigia repens. I'm tempted to plant it in the Walstad tank, to be honest, but and then maybe order myself some Rotala rotundifolia to plant. Thinking down here at the middle, this all looks better at the moment, but it's got tons of crypts, and a lot of the leaves have melted at the crypts because they've been planted in a new tank, and they'll bounce back in the next couple of weeks, so it won't look so bare. But I'm thinking of getting some stem plants in the midsection here. I'm also considering, I want to do another Walstad tank. I'm thinking of stripping out this 5-foot bad boy and dirting this, because I'm starting to get a bit bored of my aquarium. I've just set aquariums up for the sake of setting aquariums up, just to get them going, and I'm not achieving much with them. And I've said this in the previous video, I want to start achieving something. I want an agenda, I want something to do in every tank. And I bred a ton of red cherry shrimp in this tank. I bred a load of blues in the one underneath, and I'm thinking, you know, the whole idea of me setting up dirted Walstad tanks is drops the maintenance down, and it helps promote a healthier environment than a traditionally cycled aquarium. There's another clear wild type shrimp, there's another one. I need to get these, I think the tank's too big to manage a colony of shrimp really, so I need to get them out and put them in one tank or two. There's another one and another one. I need to start getting these out. I need to start working the colony, otherwise I'm just going to end up with a load of wild type shrimp. What I'm thinking of doing is planting, what I was thinking is I could do is dirt the whole bottom of the tank, cap it with pea gravel. I could even just use this on top of it. I think that'd give it a different look to the other tanks I've got. And then heavily plant the back with big root feeders. Maybe get the Crenum natans I've been after for years and get it somewhere, and then just densely pack the whole back out with big leaf plants, and then the front at the bottom get a load of smaller leaves in there, like crypts, stuff like that. I could buy crypts every month and just plant them, couldn't I? Get a few pots of crypts, plant them, let them spread out, because you know there's no rush. This tank as well, I love these tanks. I think 180 litre tanks, they're just like a nice size. I think they're not too big and they're not too small, but this tank's starting to look a bit worn out now. I used all the potted plants to set up the Walstad tank, and like I'm just housing these angels for the sake of housing them. I'm not really having as much fun as I thought I would with them. I'm still having fun, just I don't know, like my old fish room, I should be dying to get in there and I'd put like 8 hours work into it, but there's nothing inspiring me to do anything in here. And apart from my Walstad tank, I'll run in, do water changes, have a play around in it and fill it back up and stuff, so I don't know. But I say this is the only tank that's kind of itching at me to do something and grow. Every tank I walk past, my high-tech tank, my low-tech tanks, my Walstad tanks, there's like 1 or 2 issues that I know need correcting, and I'm like, for now, argument's sake, I've got leaves that are they're starting to decay a bit. They've obviously been replaced by the new stuff in the centre, and I'll bang on to use. I know that I should cutting stuff out like that out, but when you've got like 7-8 tanks, you've always got about 2-3 issues that you know you should get on top. Whereas if you'd had 1 tank, you'd be on top of everything. All your efforts are going into maintaining that 1 tank, whereas when you've got multiple and you're not that keen on working on them, you kind of let things slip, don't you? And they don't look as well as when I had 1 tank and I was on Instagram. I'd have like Aquarium Co-op and Aqua One and companies and people who were like big in the hobby would be liking me stuff, and it's kind of petered off, and I think I need something I'm more passionate about. I think that would lead for better content. This tank as well, it's another tank I've just thrown together just to house everything that was in the 4-foot, so I get the 4-foot stripped out and get it planted up. Look, there's cool shrimp in here I need to work on. I think if I had 25 litre tanks and I got all the shrimp in them and started working the colonies, raise 1 load of fry or shrimplet, whatever you want to call them, and move them out, move them on to other hobbyists, and then start again and start again. I think I'd have more luck and more fun. Look at this though. It's growing out the water. How cool is that? But I definitely want to achieve something with this tank.